Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for some more EVE Online. Welcome back also to Jita, the trade hub in EVE Online. In today's video I want to take a look at a couple of things, and first of all, of course, at the Edencom ships. They have actually arrived. I thought, honestly, after the mass test that CCP would delay things a little bit, but it looks like they went ahead and really started deploying everything in the event that's happening at the moment, providing us potentially with BPCs and thus potentially with some of this equipment. Now, it's brand new. There's going to be a lot of interest in this, and as a result, I do think prices will be crazy. I also don't see any real reason to rush, because I'm still really training all of the skills that we got for free, and we still have a very long time to go if I don't buy any like boosts or inject all of these unallocated skill points in it. And even then, it is still going to take a pretty serious amount of time before I can, for instance, get Edencom Cruiser 5 and medium Vorton Predictor 5. Then we still have to do like the Tech 2 skills and things like that. So I'm in no hurry, but it is pretty cool, of course, to always see how the market reacts to some of these new items. So we'll just get started with the ships, of course. This could be very interesting. You find them in the faction ships, just Navy factions, and here is the Skybreaker. You can see that the availability is going up and prices are going down decently quickly. We have orders that are coming in at 570 million, 400 million ISK, and we're already down to 94 million ISK, which, I mean, for a very new frigate is not that expensive anymore. 100 million, it's still too much for just a Tech 1 faction frigate, but this feels like you could afford it if you really want to fly the ship right now. Now, the chart, of course, looks kind of crazy, but I do think I want to get the min-max on this one as well. So I think that's over here. Let's take a look at that, which show min-max. There we go. And as a result, we can see that there has been one buy on the very first day for 1.5 billion ISK for a Skybreaker. That must be someone who really has too much ISK available in his wallet and who wanted to fly it right away. May even have injected all the skills and things like that as well. Otherwise, why would you buy it? But that is, of course, a really crazy price. Whoever was basically first in the market, I managed to get that price. Extremely well done. That is, of course, a crazy transaction. Now, on day 2, we are up to 60-ish sold, and today so far also 60-ish, and you can see how quickly the price goes down. 380 million average is already quite a bit lower than 1.5 billion, but still feels very, very expensive for a Tech 1 frigate. But look at the spread. We are going from almost a billion ISK at the high point, and then here we are going down to less than 250 million. Can I see? It's actually going to be below 200 million. So I would say yesterday, in all likeliness, buyers were still sometimes trying for like 200 million ISK, and someone managed to grab one. A very big spread, of course, 800 million difference between the highest sell price and the lowest sell price on a single day. But again, this is day 2 of the introduction of these items. You actually have to go into lowsec and nullsec in order to get the blueprints for them potentially. So this is really a risk-reward situation and a newness in the market that creates incredible opportunity. 60 sales at close to a billion ISK. I mean, there's definitely some people that have had some pretty rewarding experiences with the event at this point. And then for today, you can see that the average price declines below 200 million ISK. We got another 60 sales, and sellers are just starting to really flood the market with more and more stuff, and we're down to less than 100 million ISK for a Skybreaker. Now, the ship that I'm personally really interested in is actually the cruiser, the Stormbringer. I would love to see if we can get that to work as an exploration platform. I'm kind of starting to have my doubts. I've actually been flying with the Jackdaw a little bit, trying to find some good sites and do some testing. Hasn't really worked out with people coming in and stealing my damn loot, but yeah, I don't think you'll have an easy time getting the Stormbringer above 200 DPS on a single target, and that might not even be enough to break the Sasha 4 out of 10. So, affordability, we're down to 268 million for the first seller, 170 for the first buyer here. Let's compare that maybe to something Vexor Navy issue 50 million, and then a pirate faction, something like the Gila, which would be an extremely good PvE platform, 173 million ISK. So honestly, considering that this is only the third day, well, the second day where we actually have data here, this is also a very steep decline and is almost doable. If I had all the skills, I would probably buy one for 268 just to fly it and to test it out. As I said, it's gonna take a couple of months for me. I do have that patience, but it is interesting to see how quickly now the market is being flooded. And look at this on day one, I'm gonna say 40 trades. Today it's up to 48 trades at this point. Average price was 750 million ISK. We are now down to 410 million ISK on the average price so far today. But again, on day one, look at that spread. Someone went for almost 2 billion ISK on the max price, lowest price at 500 million ISK, and everything now is going below that. So the introductions here are pretty obvious. Crazy high prices, but only a couple of sales will happen at those prices, and then now as more stuff comes in the game, prices really crash down very quickly towards, I'm gonna say, almost reasonable prices. Obviously 2 billion ISK for a Stormbringer for a faction cruiser is completely bonkers and crazy. 750 million is still like no way that I would give that for a Stormbringer. 250-ish million to get in really early, to give it a try, to fly it, potentially lose it. I think that's already starting to be somewhat more reasonable. The real question at this point is, of course, how available does CCP plan to make this, and what will be the sources of the BPCs and the potential resources in order to get that economy going. What is CCP planning to do there? If anyone has any ideas, definitely put them in the comments. At this point, I just don't know. And then finally, we've got the Battleship. We'll take a quick look at that as well. The Thunderchild, amazing name, by the way. We're gonna rectify that. I didn't know about it. That the name was used in like an old novel with was like a Mars invasion or something like that. So it does have a much cooler background than what I personally thought. And here we see the exact same pattern as with the cruiser, still going for almost 1 billion ISK. But you can see how quickly we're undercutting each other as we bring more of these Thunderchilds to the market. 1.2 billion, 1 billion, and now down to 900 million ISK. And buyers are up to 750 million. If you go for some pirate faction ships, maybe something like a Rattlesnake, 643 million for a Rattlesnake. Now at this point, probably the best PvE platform that you can get in the faction battleships, but again, that does mean that 900 million ISK doesn't feel completely outlandish, although of course the skill points needed to fly this effectively and the large weapon skill is gonna take a hell of a lot of time. You don't get these skills for free either, so you need to buy those as well. It's gonna be a pretty massive investment, but the ship hull itself already feels rather reasonable. Day one sales was 20 of them, highest point 2.5 billion ISK, again really kind of crazy. Average price of 1.8 billion almost for a Thunderchild, and then the lowest price actually on day one already below 1 billion ISK. That's pretty damn impressive, and here on day two very close to that on the average, and then we are obviously going lower in price and higher in volumes as availability increases. What I'm kind of curious about as well is the industry requirements, so let's take a quick look at what we've got here. So obviously you have the Thunderchild blueprint. We've got some regular minerals, and this is actually crystalline oxygen 10, I think is from the Abyss. And then electromagnetic, I have no idea what this is or where it comes from. Do we have a right-click industry on this as well? Is this made from something? Looks like it is something that is made, but why can't I see? Or this is what it's used in. A special material emerging from the cutting-edge metamaterial labs. This sheeting is able to redirect a wide range of electromagnetic energies. It is a vital element of internal and external shielding for devices employing ultra-high energy emissions. So that's obviously for the photon projector. Okay, this feels completely new to me. It could be another drop type thing that they're planning to do later down the line. Who knows what that content where that content comes from. Hyperbolic meta transistor array. Take a quick look at that. So another material used in all of this. Ooh, there's even faction. Small consortium photon projector blueprints. Okay, this is gonna be a really big, expansive industry phase potentially. And yeah, where the hell do we get these things from? All of that is going to be pretty damn interesting. So that's for the ships. We're also going to take like a quick look at the weapons as well. So that's in turrets and launchers, and then you've got the photon projectors. So on the Tick 1 small stuff, you know, 38 million, you could probably buy a couple for one of those frigates, although still of course extremely expensive for a Tick 1 weapon system. But if you want to fly it, which by the way you probably could with Tick 1 as well, considering the skill points, then this already feels kind of available. What I'm a little bit surprised by, Tick 2, like absolutely zero, no activity whatsoever. We've got 2 sales that went for 410 million. So this is still really rare, and it is definitely showcasing that the full economy around Edencom ships and these photon projectors will need a decent amount of time to mature. Right now it's a race to be first, and there are some people out there that have really deep pockets and are willing to pay the crazy prices, but across the board will go down pretty quickly, especially in Tech 1 stuff, and patience is probably going to be the best plan of action here, because I feel like all of this will become very affordable by the time that you've naturally trained your skills and things like that. Medium photon projector 150 million is here. We can also see that yesterday they went for 230 million. Today's average is down to 150, but you can see that availability is increasing. And look at the undercutting here: 145, 120, 118, below 100, 85, 80, 55, less than 50. So this is really a race to try and get rid of these. And if you look at the industry requirements of this, it's probably again something from the abyss, regular minerals, and then these extra materials, which at the moment I'm going to assume only come from the event sites, but that eventually CCP will come out with stuff for us to do in order to get these resources as well. Very interesting. I am personally really curious to see how all of that is going to evolve. Now, you can't fly ships or fire new weapons without the skills, and this is where I think the pain point is going to come, because that'll be extremely expensive at the moment. Let's maybe quickly start with the gunnery skills, so you can see, or I should just probably look for Photon, and then have skills. There we go. So some of them won't be a real problem, because you've received, most Omegas received them from the event, and as a result have already been able to train them, like here for instance. But once we go into those that we don't have yet, like large photon projector, 400 million ISK for the skill book, pretty expensive. Photon specialization, 2.4 billion ISK. I'm really curious as well to know what CCP is planning for that, how the availability of this will evolve, and hopefully it'll become a little bit more affordable than that, because if I want to have medium photon specialization, 1.2 billion ISK, that is still really expensive. And here, this is what I'm really surprised by. We actually have this, well, actually I shouldn't be surprised by it, but we actually do have sales at some pretty crazy prices, 600 million, 750 million ISK. So it's not the sellers that are winning out, but sometimes we have 800 million ISK on a buy order for large photon specialization, medium photon specialization, 320 million. So that doesn't feel like it's the right average price of almost 750, but this is very, very expensive. And if you look at the entire picture, if right now you want to get into one of these Edencom ships and have the Tech 2 weapons available, yeah, it's just a crazy price to pay. It's even too much for my wallet, I'm gonna say. Not that I'm considering myself rich, but yeah, this is just way more than I'm personally willing to invest in this. So while it is available, it is going to remain very rare, and it could make for some really juicy kill reports if some of these would fall after players actually made those investments. So right now, for me personally, I'm going to be in a wait-and-see pattern. This is really very interesting, of course, from the sandbox market point of view, to see that there are people out there that are willing to pay 1.5 billion ISK for one of these new Tech 1 cruisers. It's kind of crazy, but it does happen. And so some people will have made a lot of ISK, some people will have spent an enormous amount of ISK. And newness does always create some waves in the market, but for me, longer term is what we need to look at, and I think all of this will become decently common and quite available. And on top of that, of course, keep in mind, you're training the skills in all likeliness at the moment, so it's not like I could buy the... what is the cruiser name? I think it's the Stormbringer. Yeah, I could buy the Stormbringer like right now, and a week from now test it out as an exploration ship. I'm going to need a lot more time before I'm able to do that, and I think that's actually quite okay. It gives you time to do some other stuff, maybe do some testing, try to basically earn your way towards those skill books, the ships, the weapons, munitions, things like that, while they go down in price. And so that goal becomes more and more doable every single day, I think, that you spend just training these skills up. So that's the first bit of this video. I wanted to take a look at all of this because, as I've said, I was not expecting them to come to TQ just yet, performance issues wise, but of course, considering how at the moment they're pretty rare and super expensive, we're not likely to see like 500 of these battleships duke it out right now either on the server. So CCP has a little bit of time because of this economy, this new industry needing, well, I think, a decent amount of time to mature here. Next bit that I also wanted to talk about is last time you guys know that I have been making some investments, and I was actually hoping for the orders history tab to help me keep you guys up to date on trades and things like that I'm doing. There's some good news and there is some bad news. So you can see here, for instance, I'll quickly show you guys some of the ships that I've bought and that I'm hoping to sell at better prices. I've got the Zwepels, which will, let's get that full chart going. Like that, which you can see have declined substantially or trading well below average. I'm hoping for a bit of a comeback on these. Also bought a really cheap Loki, close to the low points. That's because of that min-max price. We don't get a nice chart for the Legion. So can I remove you? There we go, but we're already down to a really low point yet again. And then here, what's actually something that I'm hoping will really give me a return. We've got 4 Purifiers, we've got 5 Nemesis, we've got 4 Hounds. These stealth bombers do quite often, like here, the Hounds are already climbing back up quite a decent amount. These potentially can really give me quite a bit of income. And then you guys might know that I've been trying to buy a Guardian for 184 million for like almost 3 months. The market order was almost expired, and yet after this spike up 300 million on the downturn, after basically the invasions, this is going to be the invasion rush spike for more armorology, it went oversupplied, it went straight through that bottom, and despite the fact that the average prices never broke 200 million, I still managed to grab that buyer. So I actually have a Guardian that right now could be sold for 260 million, and I actually bought it for 184 million. So as I said, I was hoping that I would be able to show all of this, and I'm still trying to buy a Basilisk at 175 as well, by the way. I was hoping that I would be able to show all of this to you guys through the orders history tab, and I was asking for it from day one. A filter on item tab would of course be absolutely amazing. So here, for instance, if I would go for Hound, you'd hope that you would see your Hound. What do I have here on both of them? I should maybe have... I sold my Manticores. That's what I did. There we go. So I sold my Manticores for 32.5 million. Now, unfortunately, it looks like performance might have been a bit of an issue because it's no longer keeping track of orders that have been completed more than 30 days away. And that does really limit it, because sometimes a buy order and a sell order can stay up for like 3 months time, but also it can take more than a month for the item to increase in value enough for me to say, okay, I'm gonna try to sell it at this point. So this will not be the tool that I'll use to track and to keep you guys up to date on trading, unless there's a way to get back those older archives down here, because there should be a Manticore buy order at, I think it was 24 or 24.5 million ISK. And so that's the trade that I wanted to show. I would just be able to type Manticore up here. So just go Manti like that, and then I would do the same over here, and then we would be able to clearly show you guys I bought it for this at that date and I sold it for this price at that date. Unfortunately, it just looks like it's not going to keep track of things long enough for that to be the case. So I will have to go back to my folders in the quick bar. I will start to do that again at some point. I'll try to maybe also catch up to all of the orders that I've done over here, and we'll have to go back here. We'll have to do that own work. Now, some people say just make an Excel, make your own spreadsheet or something like that. I understand that, but I kind of want that in-game experience to be able to do that as well. And that's really my goal, to be able to be in the client and be able to keep track of my trades as well. That's the system that I'm personally hunting for, without needing to go to another website, to another tool, or anything like that in order to keep track of it. I could very easily do it. I've got plenty of screen real estate available around me, but I want to try and get this to work in game so that it's easily replicable, and that anyone that has interest in the game can then find those windows that I'm using and basically understand what I've been doing in game, rather than having to go through Excel sheets and things like that. So this is, on the one hand, we've got a very nice improvement, especially if you're doing a lot of trading and you are trading very quickly. This can still give you all of that information. On the other hand, if like me, you're a more lazy trader and you actually tend to really try to buy at the very low points, and then you're willing to wait weeks, months, even more than that before you take your profits, then this doesn't really help you too well with keeping track of your trades, unfortunately. But the filter on item type has been added, so CCP is definitely listening. Thank you very, very much for that. It's actually really good. You can see why I wanted it so bad, because I produce and find a lot more stuff than just the things that I'm trading, and as a result, this is it's almost difficult to find those trades that I've made, that I would have made even if they were within 30 days. So you can see that I've been selling implants, I've been selling some compressed Velspar, I've been selling some ammo that I still had left over, more implants over here, and then in here there is one Manticore trade that's actually also a buy order that I managed to grab on the cheap. So I'll try to make the system work. The advantage of having it done in the quick bar is that I can also cover it in EveTalk. So that still makes sense, but it'll require a little bit more work, a little bit more fine-tuning. Maybe I should take like some screenshots or something like that, and then do like a weekly batch in the quick bar. I'm still not sure how exactly I want to keep track of these trades within the client and keep you guys up to date, but this is unfortunately the situation. I can't go back far enough to show you guys what the buy order was that I managed to complete for the Manticore, and so it's going to be a little bit more tricky to actually give you guys that information, unfortunately, but well, we'll find a way as always. This is a sandbox after all, and it's always fun to try and find new ways to enjoy the game. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't go too crazy with spending a lot of ISK on these skill books, these Edencom ships, the weapon systems and things like that. I personally really feel that think that availability will go up substantially, especially once the actual content for creating the resources for this industry will come into EVE Online, and right now I think patience is actually the key. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.